Don't underestimate the force.
Okay, first things first is getting dressed, so if you need a link to where I got my costume, I can link you in the description. The next thing's really optional, but if you'd like to wear contact lenses, now would be the time to put them in. These are Princess Pinky Twilight Blue lenses from pinkyparadise.com. Now next is to cleanse your face. I'm using the brush from vpwow.com. Putting makeup on dirty skin is a really bad idea. You should also moisturize your face before you begin, like I'm doing here. Now I'm taking just a regular face brush and the Maybelline Master Prime, and I'm priming my skin. If you're going to be wearing this for any sort of convention or any sort of event that's going to last any amount of time whatsoever, you'll definitely need to prime your skin. This primer was from the drugstore, so don't let people tell you that primer is expensive and that not everyone needs it, because you all need it. Now I'm taking the Kat Von D Tattoo Concealer in the shade Light 16, and I'm going to use this Furless brush, and I'm just going to blend that concealer in. Make sure your lips are moisturized too, so that they don't look all cracked and gross. Now I'm using the CoverGirl Aquafuge Foundation in Classic Ivory to really even out my skin tone. Having perfect skin for cosplay is really important. This is the Revlon Insta-Fix stick in the shade Coffee, and I'm going to be using it to cream contour my face. Now, the best advice I can give for this is to really just look at a reference of the character and decide what you need to change about your face in order to make it match the characters. Now, my face shape and my cheekbones are already pretty similar to Anakin Skywalker's, but I really had to focus on making my chin a little bit different, you know, doing the cleft, and also making my nose look more square and upturned. I'm also doing some basic contouring just in other general places that everyone would contour anyway, like on the temples and on the jawline. This shade does appear orange at first, and it is definitely orange if you don't neutralize it with a cooler toned powder later on, so if you can get your hands on a cooler toned cream contour stick, then I recommend doing that. This is the Real Techniques Beauty Sponge. It's like a beauty blender dupe, and I'm just taking that damp and I am blending out all of those contour marks that I'd had. Again, this looks very orange at first, but we will be neutralizing it later. This step can take some time, so please be patient if you've never done it before. Now I'm just taking this brush to further blend out the orange contours. This is the Kat Von D Lock-It Foundation in the shade Light 42, and I'm using it to highlight parts on my face that I need to highlight. With every contour that you make, there should be corresponding highlights, so keep that in mind. I'm using the same brush, the same sponge to blend it out. Now I'm taking the AIRSPUN translucent powder, and I'm using it as a base just to set everything initially. Like I said, it's translucent, so it will match all of the contour colors that we used. Now I'm taking Lazarus from the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Palette, and that is the cool toned brown that I'm going to use to neutralize and intensify all of my already existing contours. When you're doing contour for a cosplay, especially a cartoon, I feel that it's okay to go a little bit extreme with it, or maybe not extreme, but more than you would on a daily basis. I'm just using various brushes to add that cooler toned brown shade to all of the areas that I highlighted or that I contoured with orange earlier. I really focused on my chin. I wanted that to look as natural as possible. Just make a lot of faces and find out where you need to contour to make your face look angry and intense and just, you know, like Anakin Skywalker. Now I'm taking Studio Fix by MAC and NC15, and I'm using that just to sort of tone down a little bit of them, a little bit of the contours. And this little bullet brush, I'm using a little bit of a darker contour color. It is called Liberatus from the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye palette. And with that same shade, I am just, again, further intensifying areas that I'd already intensified. His eyes are very dark, so I would be very, you know, intense, heavy-handed around the eye area. This is the NYX Micro Brow in Taupe, and I'm just using the spoolie to first brush my eyebrows out before I'm going in to draw the shape. I'm mostly just etching out the general outline of how I want the eyebrow to look, and then I'm going to go in with the Rimmel eyebrow pencil in the shade Blond, which is a lot creamier of a product, so I'm just going to deposit some of the product and then use an angled brush to blend in the cream to my eyebrow hair. Anakin's eyebrows are already very similar to mine, they're just a little bit more angular at the top of the tail. This is Black Track by MAC, and I'm putting that just on my waterlines because this character also appears to have quite the bit of guy liner. And then I'm going to use the bullet brush that I was using earlier and just blend that out so that it looks a little bit more natural. Now you can't see, but I'm taking a flesh toned color and a taupe, and I'm going to sketch out the shape of the scar. You want to focus on getting the outline of the scar first, and then once you've mapped that out, you want to really make sure you deepen the inside and highlight the outer edges. This is how to do it without any rigid collodion or third degree, and this is what I would recommend for just the average person. I'm just taking various shades to make it deep in the middle and then a white to make it really raised on the edges. Now if you can spare the money or you have the product and you want to have a little bit of fun, I really recommend using third degree. It is a silicone modeling compound, and I'll show you how to use it in just a second. Now once you mix these two together, it starts to set up really fast. You have about 5 minutes to mix A and B together, and then, you know, get that on your face before it becomes hard to work with. Now, you want to start by sort of just laying it on the edges of the wound, sort of where you highlighted, keeping the inside section where the darker parts of the contour go. You want to keep that as deep as possible. So if silicone gets in that area, I recommend using your palette knife to sort of scrape it out. Slowly and just back and forth, build up the edges of the silicone until you've either used it all or until your batch is too set up to use anymore. And I really also use my palette knife and I focus on blending it into my skin on the edges there. If you don't blend the edges in, it sort of defeats the purpose of using silicone. So once it's set up and dry, you'll want to set it to get rid of the shiny silicone sheen, and I'm just using that NC15 powder from MAC again. I'm redefining a little bit of my guy liner, and then now I'm repainting the wound the same way that I painted it on my face in the first place. Sorry if I'm stuttering and stuff, I have to sort of do this narration all in one go, so... Next is the wig. Now this is a Spanish brown magnum from artowigs.com. But I honestly would rather get something else in the future. This one only parts to one side, so as you'll see, it's parted to the inaccurate side, but you know, I work with what I have. I did cut these side pieces to look more like sideburns, so that's why they're a bit of a blunt cut. Don't criticize me there. I use the Got To Be freezed hairspray to sort of set my style in place and to work with little flyaways and all. Twisting is a good technique to use with synthetic wigs. Anyway, that's pretty much the finished look, you guys. I hope this was helpful to you at some level. If you did like it and you want to see more cosplay tutorials, please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be back at you with another one soon. See ya.
Don't underestimate